Hello, everybody! Welcome back to TTBurger, the PlayStation Gamer. I am your host, Tony, here on YouTube here. And this isn't a review, per se. It's actually a video about a video game company that my buddy Renegade Agent 12 here knows a lot about. And when learning about this company, I'm just surprised on how horrible this company really is. And Renegade, why don't you tell us the name of that company we're talking about today?
Well, we are talking about none other than Phoenix Games.
That's right.
Phoenix Games was Phoenix Games was a publisher that was founded in around late 2002 by Paul Scher, who was the original founder of Midas Games. It was based in Nuenen in the Netherlands, and it operated from 2002 all the way till around early 2010 when it filed for bankruptcy. And most of the games that they published were nothing but absolute shovelware.
Yeah, and they're basically like overhyped cartoons on a disc.
Yeah, most of them were actually produced by a German company called Dingo Pictures, believe it or not.
Well,
I actually remember one of the cartoons that I watched as a kid. It was called Mouse Police. In German, it is called Ein Fall für die Mäusepolizei. That was actually the one cartoon from Dingo Pictures that I remember watching back in, around the mid-90s when I was still a kid, and I had it on VHS back in the day.
Oh yeah, I think the one that I'm most familiar with is Dalmatians, and that's the funny thing. They made sequels to Dalmatians, but it's the same game just on different consoles, so it's basically false advertising.
Yeah, and of course with the crappy animation that you would expect from Dingo Pictures. Oh yeah, because it was founded by Paul Scher, who of course also founded Midas Games, that was also a Dutch company before it became a UK company. Even Midas also did put out Dingo Pictures works on PlayStation also before Phoenix Games ultimately took over.
Yeah, I pretty much know that they took over a lot of those companies, and they pretty much, if I thought games like Big Rigs Over the Road Racing was bad, look at Phoenix Games, and then you can see that this company makes Big Rigs Over the Road Racing seem like a masterpiece. It makes Largo Winch Commando Stars seem like the best thing since bread and butter, and Bubsy 3D or the Mary Kay and Ashley and the Barbie games seem like playable games.
And and what's interesting about most of those games from Phoenix Games, most of these are PAL exclusives. Yeah, PAL exclusives. That's what they are. They didn't see an overseas release. Actually, some games that actually were Japanese imports, but the games that were all made in Europe, specifically by a company called Evolgamus UAB, based in Lithuania, they're all PAL exclusives.
Yeah, I know some people here in the West, like how in the United States, didn't have to suffer through the torture of Phoenix Games. But seeing all those games there, it's like, holy cow. Like, I know they made a racing game, too. Like, they made a racing game. It looks so bad. It's like, you look at the grass, and it looks like green water. I forget the name. I think it's the London Cab Company game. It's a London Cab game. I forget.
Cab Challenge.
Yes, London Cab Challenge. Yeah, I've seen footage of that game, and it looks so bad that you just want to throw up how bad it is.
Yeah, and that game was indeed developed by Evolgamus UAB. I hope I pronounced that right. Yes, they were also the makers of World Wrestling Championship and a bunch of other imitations like KO Ping and so on and so forth.
Yeah, pretty much, because I see a lot, like the main people mainly remember them for are those cartoon movie games, like the one about dinosaurs, and I'm trying to think what other ones they've made, but they're all rip off of other famous Disney films that that's where they seem like a lot better, and I don't I just can't believe they got away with this stuff. And thankfully they went bankrupt, but can you imagine if they were still around, what they would try to do with the PS4 or the PS5? Because
with Steam, flooding the Steam flooding, the whole Steam storefront with so much shovelware that, make, like even asset flips like the slaughtering grounds seem like masterpieces.
Oh yeah, no
Anyone
kidding.
remember those? Anyone remember slaughtering grounds on Steam before it was then taken down for good?
I remember. I never played it, but I know of it. I know it was terrible. I know it was a piece of shit game, definitely.
Yeah, but I obviously never played it, but I did watch people play it, and yeah, it really was an absolute piece of crap.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Wow. And here's like one of the main problems with Phoenix games. Their discs are in such poor quality. You play them one time, they'll never work again.
Yeah, that's because most of these games were on a CD on those blue discs that always tells you it's a CD instead of a DVD.
Yeah, like
Even the front labels of the discs even tell you it's a CD when you look at the compact disc logo right below the PlayStation logo and the PAL designation.
yeah, like why would they make games you can only play one time? So for example, like you're paying full price for these games, and
Well, actually, they were budget games.
well, imagine if they were full price. Imagine if they were full price, you'd be completely ripped off. Because nowadays a budget price game would go for about $10 or $20. So that's you'd feel ripped off for sure.
Yeah, and that's because some of those Phoenix games are actually pretty rare, believe it or not. Even some of the PlayStation 1 games that, of course, came out during their prime, they also had some really strange limited print runs. I mean, there were, of course, some Phoenix games that came out, in like 2009 that were exclusive to Italy, believe it or not. Games like Ocean Commander and Monster X and a few bunch of other titles. Can't really name them, but they had actually some games, released in their late status in like the late 2009 that were exclusive to Italy. Even if they also had but these games also saw the light of day on the way in North America, believe it or not.
I did not know that, but I would never touch that game for the life of me. And
Yeah.
it's like, there is no worst game made by Phoenix Games. They're like 95% of them are equally bad. So that's like comparing apples to oranges.
Well, there's at least one kind of okay game that Phoenix Games did release. It was called Sonic Wings Special, and it was on a PlayStation. Of course, this was obviously an arcade shmup game that was originally made for the Neo Geo of all arcade boards.
Yeah, well, that's a shoot 'em up. Most shoot 'em ups are fun. So of course, how they're gonna fuck up? But that's like making a puzzle. That's like saying they made a puzzle game that they didn't fuck up.
Yeah. My first experience with Phoenix Games was, of course, when I saw this huge big box that was like, a PlayStation big box, that had like multiple games and one single box in it that I saw at Plus. That's a German supermarket, by the way, which is now called Netto. And, when I saw this, I was like, wow, so many different PlayStation 1 games in one box? Oh man, I definitely would love to have this. And yes, I did buy it, and then I just noticed, oh, it's just a standard PlayStation jewel case in it. And the game was called 5-Star Racing, and it basically just had like 5 racing games in it that all run on the exact same engine. And from what I played, it was pretty damn dull. There's no championship mode, there's no time trial, there are no stuff to unlock. Well, it's just this. Just single races.
You know who that? You know what game that reminds me of? Ridge Racer on the PlayStation Vita.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Game that, of course, came out to absolute lackluster fanfare that also killed the Ridge Racer series as we know it.
Right, because there hasn't, because going up top here, ever since then, we haven't seen a Ridge Racer released on any console, on any Sony console since the PS3. PS
Other than
Vita,
re-releases.
yeah, those don't count. But like, it's a shame that, it just surprised me that Phoenix Games lasted this long. I think a company like that, they'd go out of business like in a couple of years or so. It's like, it's like when you have an airline company like where that has bad reviews, they go away within like 3 years. Perfect example is the company National Airlines. They were not a very good company, and they were gone within 3 years. That's what that kind of reminds you of, except the fact that Phoenix Games was way worse.
But since most of their games were all budget games, they were able to hold on for long until their eventual demise in 2010.
Yeah, they're actually worse than LJN because at least LJN their games worked every time you put them in. You put the cartridge or the disc in. That's a bit, but here only one time, and then you can never play it again. It reminds us of those DivX DVDs they had. I don't know if you heard of those, the DivX DVDs, which had like
which of course from Circuit City, that of course requires some sort of subscription, and you need to have one of those DivX machines and all, and they can easily get destroyed. Do you also know about the Flex Play DVDs that are self-destructible?
No, I have not heard of those. No, I've never heard of those, but the DivX ones, they only work just like Phoenix Games. They work one time and they never.
Yeah, and that's all because most of the games are all on a CD, like I said.
Is there like a way to get them to work?
It's always the common format for budget titles, especially those over in Europe.
So you're saying that even if you put the disc in a different console, it still will not work ever again?
Yeah.
That sucks, I mean, yeah, it's budget price, but still, it's a waste of money.
Yeah, especially when there are some much better budget games out there that, of course, are still worth playing. I mean, Serious Sam on the PC was a budget game, and that was super fun. I really had a lot of fun playing that back in the day.
Yeah, because I never played Serious Sam, but I heard good things about it. Because there are some budget price games that can actually be enjoyable. Like some budget price games can be enjoyable, but just that most of the time they could be not so enjoyable.
And there was even a game called Vip Ribbon that here in Europe it was also a budget title.
I've heard of that game, yeah.
But of course that game is now considered incredibly sought after today.
Yeah, I believe it. It's kind of like the game Obscure for the PS2, which is a survival horror game that started off as a budget price title, but boy, oh boy, it went up in price so much.
You might as well just, get it somewhere on the internet and basically just load it up in the Open PS2 loader, provided that you have a memory card with FreeMech boot and the Open PS2 loader in it.
There we go. And, what else do you got to say about Phoenix Games here?
Well, in short, Phoenix Games is absolute crap. Their games are crap. They're priced so low that they really aren't worth buying. Most of the games were on CDs, and, well, they are just totally not worth it. And, of course, being PAL exclusive, it's absolute textbook example.
There we go. Yeah, it's just perfect example of a company that rushes to make. That's a manufacturer too. They rush to make games. They rush to make their games.
Yes, because they actually only had like 6 months to make these games, and then boom, they're on the shelves.
Yeah, no wonder that their games are such low quality. You can't even if you only have a certain amount of time, you need to put time and effort into making your games. You can't just rush them. Like look what happens with Call of Duty nowadays. They rush those games out like crazy. Again,
what do you expect from these games? They're low budget. They have very, very low budgets.
I'm not expecting anything.
Low production values.
I'm not expecting anything, Tobias. I'm just telling you, in a game in general, even if you have low quality games or you got a budget price games, you always gotta take time to make your games run well.
And in the end, it doesn't pay off.
No way. And that's pretty much all I gotta say. Do you have anything else to say about Phoenix Games?
Nope. You'll better just stay the hell away from Phoenix Games at all costs. Unless you are a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, no kidding. And I'd rather stay away than suffer the torture.
Well, unless you do want to, well, thankfully, Free McBood, the open PS2 loader, so if you really want to experience Phoenix Games for yourself, you are totally welcome.
I'll remember that, yeah. And that's pretty much what I got.